Services will now get much easier. This week, the Federal Trade Commission unveiled a new rule that requires businesses to give consumers a much easier way to cancel their subscriptions. They want to make it as easy to cancel as it was to sign up in the first place. And tonight we're on your side with 3 things to know about the new click to cancel policy. So let's start with thing 1 here, the reasoning behind all of this. Well, the Federal Trade Commission says too often businesses make people jump through endless hoops just to cancel a subscription. Sometimes that means showing up in person to cancel a membership, say like a gym, or struggling to find information on the service's website on how to cancel. The FTC also cites memberships that cost money to cancel. It says the FTC's rule will end these tricks and traps, saving Americans time and money. Nobody should be stuck paying for a service they no longer want. That leads us to thing 2. How exactly would this proposal work? Well, the rule would require businesses to disclose all necessary information about the service, including plans, deadlines, and specific costs without misrepresentation. Businesses also have to get your consent for auto renewal plans and free trials that automatically then turn into paid memberships. Businesses must give a simple way to cancel and immediately halt charges. All right, last but not least here, thing 3 here tonight. When will this rule go into effect? Well, it's not a simple snap of the finger here. The rule's provisions will go into effect 180 days after it's published in the Federal Register. Agencies publish documents in the Federal Register to give official notice of the rule, its contents, and legal effect. Coming up next here on Your Side Tonight.